Welcome back to the Stephan Hogan Podcast. I'm your host, Stephan. If you're here for the first time or you're a returning listener, know that 53% of our listeners are not subscribed. So please hit that little subscribe button and share the podcast if you are digging it. Today's guest is Ashley Monroe. She has so many hit songs. She's part of the Pistol Ladies with Miranda Lambert. She's a mom. She's battled cancer. She has a story to tell. And you're in for a treat. So here is Ashley Monroe.
This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.
2021, I got diagnosed with a kind of cancer, a lymphoma that was in my bone marrow. So that really was like a jolt in the timeline of my life, you know?
Yeah.
So I found out June 2021, and then I had to have chemo starting in July of 2021 until December. So that just feels like, you know, its own like sub part of my life, you know, some like,
oh yeah,
you know, and I'm just now starting to like go, wow, I can't believe that even really happened, because it was just almost like a really weird, bad dream. But, you know, that was hard and all the things that it is, but I was also thankful that it wasn't a worse kind of cancer. It was treatable. And then after that, I mean, that's just a hard reset. That's gonna hard reset everything. And normally like bad things do, which I don't know why that has to happen, but it makes things better long term when you learn what you're supposed to learn from it and you know, adjust accordingly. I mean, when you have something like that, you're just never going to be the same. So
yeah. So like for me, I lost both of my parents in the last 2 years.
I'm so
like,
sorry.
And then we had Harlem, which was a blessing, but It's been like really rough. But at the same time, like my dad passed recently, so I'm kind of like grieving that, you know? And still my mom, it's kind of weird, but also it's completely changed my outlook on life.
Yeah.
Do you feel like having that like run-in with mortality changed your outlook on things?
I mean, it definitely changed my outlook on things. And I have a son too. So, you know, was he 3 when I got diagnosed, 4 when I got diagnosed. So, you know, it makes you fight harder and it makes you want to be around and want to take care of yourself. And, you know, and I lost my dad when I was 13, he was 40, but having a son now, I think about like, that would have been so hard on him to have had to leave his kids. You know, as a parent, it's like, gosh, you hate when they can't be there. But yeah, I mean, it makes me want to take care of myself and be the best mom I can be while I'm here for Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton's a dope name.
Dalton, yes, my son.
How'd you come up with that name?
My mom's maiden name. My grandparents' last name is Dalton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the having a kid part changed everything for me too.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, because in your career you've been so accomplished and you've had so much success, and I mean, you know, it's just like if you just do a Google search, it's never-ending stuff. And do you feel like your proudest accomplishment came outside of music with having a son?
I mean, yeah, and it's 2 different lanes. I mean, the son accomplishment trumps everything, really.
Yeah.
But I'm also thankful that I, you know, have hit some personal milestones, if it's even that. It's funny because I've been in Nashville so long, and it's like when you come to town, you think it's going to be a certain way or that is what you want. And then now where I'm at, it's like, okay, I'm never going to sell out arenas. That's okay. I don't want that. I'd rather sell out the Ryman one day, you know? And I'm so thankful that I'm a songwriter too, and that I want to go down and be remembered as a songwriter just as much as, you know, my artistic stuff. And some of my heroes that I've got to collaborate with over the years, like that is gold. That is beyond my wildest dreams, you know? So I'm very thankful for every, you know, all the things that I've done in my career, and that it turned out the way it did. You know, it's not like, you know, mountains of fame or anything, but it's like respect. And I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all want that because when you get the respect, it's almost like a stamp of approval. Like, like you belong at the table.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm confident in that too. I anytime I feel like kind of pushed out, and Nashville gets like that. It gets kind of cliquey, and these people only write with those people, and that's normal. But I'm always like, no. Like I'm not gonna like stop trying, and like I have faith that I have a gift, and that that's what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm confident that I can deliver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've heard that before, that Nashville's cliquey.
Yeah.
And I'm curious from your point of view what that's like. And my follow-up question to that is, do you feel like there's a certain level of, I want to be Ashley's friend because she's successful right now, and then when maybe you're not as hot in terms of, you know, a hit streak or whatever, then they don't want to hang out. Like, what's that been like?
I mean, that really is kind of how it is for some people, you know. When I first moved to town, it was so different than what it is now. I mean, when I moved to town, I was 15, and I would write 2 times a day with whoever, you know, and my mom would drive me to writing appointments, and I kept a list of, you know, writers were still very much respected, you know, the Tom Douglases and the, you know, and Dean Dillon. I mean, all the, you know, just like the main ones. And I loved that. I loved finding new people to create with and all that. And honestly, it's changed in so many ways that I can't even really keep up with it, nor do I try. I kind of stay out of the business side as much as I can. I try not to obsess about how much money you get for a stream, even though it's terrible. And I do think things should change. But if I stay on that part, I would lose the light, you know? I would lose the fire that's in my heart for music. And I don't want to lose that, you know? I want to be smart, be wise, but keep the magic of it too. So, you know, I think that there are so many people in Nashville, and everybody, I'm guilty of it too. You find your little cozy corner, and like, I'm comfortable with these people and it's working. That's another thing. If they're writing with people and it's working, I mean, I get it. Why would you want to try new things? But
is that where the click part comes in that you're kind of talking about, or is that something completely different?
I guess. I mean, I don't even mean it in a negative way, honestly. It's just like probably just natural. There's just so many writers that it's kind of, I guess, natural. But all that to say, I'm going to bust them all up because I want to be, I want to write with all kinds of people.
So Nashville's changed a ton, and I'm happy to go there and talk music stuff too, because I think there's so many people that come to Nashville with the TV show dream. Mm-hmm. And was it almost like that at a point when you were younger, where, I don't know if you ever watched the series. Did you?
Yeah, I watched some of it. I wrote that song, A Life That's Good. It's in Nashville. And another one called Consider Me that they did. But yeah. Yeah, I watched some.
Did you feel like that was a fake portrayal of Nashville? Or that's like what it was at a certain time in history?
I don't know. I mean, I think anything made for TV is a little fluffed, but...
Yeah. But I remember one of the parts that was like, I forget what his name is, but the dude that has the accent, he's like British. Mm-hmm. Sam, yeah. Yeah, Sam Palladio, I think is his name, the actor. He like writes a hit song, and he gets this big old check in the mail. And it was like the first royalty check that he had ever received, and it was for some song that like the artist had cut. Yeah. And nowadays, I'm curious, is it like that still?
I don't know. Some people are getting some big old royalty checks somewhere, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely gone down. I guess, like I said, I don't really keep up with the business part. I don't think I'm getting a huge, big check.
So you keep your blinders on.
Maybe I am. To a certain level, I don't get obsessed with finding out the business of it. I'm aware. Yeah, you know, but I'm definitely not like obsessed or hyper-focused on it so much so that it kills my joy. That's one thing that's happened since my cancer journey is I'm super protective of my joy. I just feel like we kind of have to be. I noticed it at first when I had my son. I just thought, I know there's sad things. I know there's bad and I hate it and it breaks my heart. But as much as I can, like, you got to protect your joy, you know? And if I sit and obsess over music business, my joy will be gone. And life's too short, in my opinion, to obsess about it. I also have faith, in things that are out of my control. And I feel like that if I'm in tune, spiritually, and that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I feel that alignment, that there's a vibration that I trust more than I trust any numbers or probabilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, faith's a huge part of my journey too, and a huge part of who I am. And I feel like it changes the way that you look at things and approach life, especially in trying to control things.
Yeah, you really need to surrender.
Yeah, surrender is such a huge thing. And I thought it was interesting that you said joy, not happiness.
Yeah.
What's the difference to you?
Well, to me, joy is deeper than happiness. Happiness feels a little more fleeting. Like, I'll be happy if it's sunny. I'll be sad if it's raining. And a lot of times I feel like it's like we make up our mind if we're going to be happy or sad, But joy, I just feel like it's deeper. It's like a fire. It's like a rooted fire.
Like, I'm good.
Or that there's always something burning, even if you're sad. I think that it's important to feel emotions and be sad and all that, but joy is just a deeper rooted thing in my mind.
No, I get that. I think that's cool. My wife and I were talking the other day about, like, we were in Florida, but we were like, hey, how do we come up with, let's come up with, the Hogan, top 3 things. Because life is, so chaotic feeling, and it's too short to feel stressed all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have this constant to-do list.
Yeah.
And it is never done.
Yeah.
It's just you finish the list, and then at the end of the day, it's your metric was that I do all these to-dos on my to-do list. And it's no, didn't, failure. You know what I'm saying? And I just have gotten so stressed from living like that. So we came up with this little list, and it was love, faith, and joy was the third one. And so I thought it was interesting that you said that, because I don't think that I've been choosing joy. I think I've been chasing happiness and chasing dopamine, but not chasing for joy or being content where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is what it is. I mean, the other night my son couldn't sleep, and it was 10 o'clock. I'd already taken my PM, so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep. And it was really odd. It's out of character. But I laid down with him, which is also, he never even asked me to. And I laid down with him, and I could have gotten irritated, and honestly have before, like any parent, when your kid's not sleeping. But I just laid there and didn't think anything. I was just like, this is so cool, honestly, because they're just so sweet. And he got my hand and kind of put it over his body, and that put my hand on his arm. And I just sat in that moment. And I'm a list maker too, and I'm always a plan ahead. What does John need to be doing? What does this person need to be doing? That's just how I am. But I just sat in that moment and just was very aware of this is where I am. This is what is happening. My son is here, and I fell in a deep sleep. But, I think it's important to stop, to pause and go, what's happening right now? If it's not happening right now, then just maybe don't worry about it so much. Not let it consume every thought.
Yeah, it's mindfulness almost is associated with that. Korchmar is more than a leather. It's a story. Established in 1917. Korchmar is a 4th-generation family-owned and operated business right here in the United States of America. I have the Lewis and the Twain, a backpack and a weekender bag in the color espresso. I was just out of town. All I needed was those 2 things for my trip, and they matched. and they look dope. But more importantly, they're made out of top full grain leather, super high quality and durable. Go to korchmar.com, hit the QR code, 15% off your entire order with the code SHP. Again, Korchmar, KORCHMAR.com, and then enter SHP at checkout for 15% off your entire order.
Just so much information and so much distraction. I mean, I'll get on my phone, try to order DoorDash, and then I'm on shopping website. Like, what am I even doing? Like, we're overloaded. So I think it's important to be mindful and just kind of pull away from the noise sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Life's so noisy.
Mm-hmm.
I started to read this book called Dopamine Nation, and it's all about like how essentially in the, let's call it caveman days, you would have like maybe 2 dopamine hits per day. And now it's like with cell phones and stuff, you have constant dopamine after dopamine after dopamine hit with social media and likes, etc. And how basically the brain's not created to be able to deal with that much. And so back to happiness, not joy, like people are at an all-time low on a happy level on more antidepressants, anxiety medicine. I take it myself. And because they've been exposed to so many dopamine or dopaminergic activities.
Right.
And I'm curious, because you've performed on huge stages and done amazing things. Do you feel like that like does something to your mind where it affects your, I don't know, maybe your ability to find joy in more like mundane things? And I know we said joy, but maybe happiness, or where it's like you need that big rush or you crave it?
Oh, I do not crave a big rush. Really. I'm like, I love a steady. I will never be bored. If you ever heard me say I was bored, you could fall out on the floor, because I like quietness. I like stillness. I like nothingness, I really do, and I always have. But I also love being on stage and feeling, a tangible love, a tangible energy in the room. And it's miraculous, that happens when you're on stage or when people are singing along with you. I mean, it's almost like they lift you up. So I love that too, but I don't know. I like both. I don't ever chase adrenaline. That's like, it's not me. I'm an adrenaline out girl, and I get overactivated easy. All the things. So
yeah.
But
like ADHD type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's a balance in that. Like I like to go to shows, and I don't like to do too many where I'm going to be burnt out and where I'm going to be exhausted and hate the road. I want to be able to enjoy it. So I'll do shows and then I'll come home.
Yeah.
Right? Go to shows, So I feel like there's a good balance.
What's the point in your life when you were most burnt out?
Was I even burnt out? What do you mean, like on a professional level?
Well, you had mentioned the road and being gone and all that.
Well, I didn't get burnt out as much when I was younger because I had more stamina. You know what I mean? I mean, I would go out with Miranda all the time, like just to hang out with her and with the Annies, and that's pretty lush. It's quality touring, So I don't think I ever really let myself get, except radio tour. Anytime I had to do radio tour, it just stole my joy.
Yeah.
Not everyone. There were some really great program directors that I love, and I always will, and they supported me from the beginning, but most of the time, they did not want to see me. They did not care. They did not care about what I was singing, and it was exhausting. It was hard. So, and it wasn't working anyway. So, that was probably a burnout season. Yeah.
Was there a lot of radio program director promises where you had to go do free shows or whatever?
Yeah, I did a lot of free shows.
And they'd be like, "Oh, we'll spin your song," and it didn't happen.
Yeah, like for a week or two. Yeah. Yeah, it happens all the time. It's just, it just wasn't my vibe. I appreciate radio. I mean, I've written songs that were number ones, and I'm thankful, for radio. And it's powerful. I wish that it would have worked out, but I've surrendered that to the fact that it won't, and move on.
Do you like being a songwriter in that there's a level of autonomy versus if you were like I don't know. I feel like, because you've obviously, your face is known, but also in terms of like, if you went to Fifth and Broad versus Morgan Wallen, you'd probably have an easier time being able to hang out and be autonomous and like not be as bothered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you said you're introverted, or I think you said that. Like you like to like be alone.
I like both. Yeah.
You like both?
Yeah. But I get that. I mean, I think that to me, fame is, would be like a side effect of a lot of people knowing your music. So it's nothing that I like ever feared or anything like that. But it is a lot, when these people like Morgan Wallen or Miranda even, and they can't go into Target as easily.
Yeah, without needing to take photos with people and all of that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't guess I ever really thought about that. I never really tried to do one more than the other, songwriting versus the artist thing. I always try to kind of tend to both of those, but I like the way it is right now. Whatever that is. I don't think I'm famous. I don't think I'm well known, but I'm thankful when somebody does know my music. So
yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite songs that you've written that were hits?
I love The Truth. I mean, I still sing that one in my sets and will eventually record that one day, probably soon even, because I still feel that one a lot. And I love singing Heart Like Mine because me and Miranda wrote that. Any of the Annie's ones, they're like stamped on my heart. So
yeah. And have you felt at all like in your career, and I have no clue because I haven't had your experience or listened to all your interviews, but where people were always like going for the Miranda angle in the interview? Or do you feel like people were focused on you for you?
Oh.
Or it was like,
probably
so
not
tell me
some of the
about
times.
Miranda,
Probably some of the time. It depends on who was interviewing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was I like? Was it deflating?
No, I don't really care. I'm proud of her and love her. So
yeah.
And I know when they're trying to get information. I'm not dumb, so
yeah,
I can kind of shut it down in a polite way if I need to.
And you guys kind of came up together, though.
Yeah, she was on Epic Records, and then I was signed on Columbia.
Okay.
Yeah. So at first she didn't like me because she said they didn't need another blonde singer. She didn't know me yet, And then she heard my first record and then reached out, and we met up and been friends ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is your hair naturally blonde, or is it this natural?
It's like a natural kind of like reddish brown, but it got curly after chemo. I didn't lose it all the way, but it thinned like quite a bit. So I have all these different growth patterns all throughout, of like different lengths where you can tell. And I was anemic before because of the cancer, it turns out. But so anyway, it came back curly, so I'm just kind of going with it. I was kind of bleaching it all the time. So
it looks so thick to me.
Yeah, it's all good now.
I got red in my beard.
I like a good red. I'm really liking my red season.
Yeah, I think it's a good look.
Thank you.
I think it's real
easier
hip.
to maintain.
Are you Irish?
I've got a lot of Irish in me, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like to accredit it to that.
I like Ireland. I love going over there. Scottish.
I've never been.
You would love it.
What's the best part of Ireland?
I was actually over there once on St. Patrick's Day in downtown Dublin. It was like some sort of a dream. Everybody's just so nice, and they're so funny. I love a dry humor, I think Irish are really funny. All people, I think English people are really funny and dry, too. So
yeah,
it feels like our old ancestors, sense of humor was theirs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to think of I was learning about epigenetics and that you inherit DNA from people that came before you and stuff. And I don't know a lot about it, and it's a really fancy word.
Yeah, I've never heard that word before.
But basically it's saying you can inherit memories from people that experience things before you because there's a genome pattern that got expressed and came down through your bloodline. And I wonder if there's sometimes I wonder, because I feel like an old soul, and I don't know if you feel that way at all, but I always have wondered, I wonder if that's because of my great-grandpa who came here from Dublin.
Or if you're just an old soul.
Or I am.
I mean,
Yeah, that too.
Your soul.
Would you say you're an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert?
What's the difference?
An extroverted introvert would be someone that is extroverted when they're out, but at their core, they're an introvert.
Gotcha.
And then the other one's the opposite. So for me,
they want to be out, but they're inside. Okay.
So for me, I can be like, hey, and like cool with people and like hang out. But at my core, I like being alone in a coffee shop, journaling.
Yeah, right. I hate to keep bringing it up, but honestly, after cancer, I've been more, I don't think I'm extroverted at all. Is that the word, extroverted?
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
It means outgoing, essentially.
Yeah. I'm honestly both. Like I'm enjoying going out more because it's like, make things fun. Go see your friends. Go live. But then I love coming home. I love getting in bed. It's my favorite good time to just turn on Below Deck or something just easy on the mind and go to sleep. So
is that one of those reality
ones? Yeah.
Yeah, trash TV, I call it. But I watch it with my wife, too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, John.
Does your husband watch it?
And he calls it trash TV. But he would watch Below Deck if it was on, I think. But I guess I'm both. I don't really. I'm neither one fully.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's cool though. Mm-hmm. I feel like we need to talk a little more about the cancer stuff. That's cool with you because that feels like such a pivotal part of your journey, and it's almost like the new lease on life. You know, going into once you found that out, what was your first reaction to finding out you had cancer?
I was actually at Miranda's farm with Angelina, and then our friend Amy was down there, and I had gotten that bone marrow biopsy done, and it was the weekend, and I got on my app, my health app, and they had put it in the app in writing, my diagnosis, and I just looked at it it was a Saturday, and I'm like, lymphoma, what in the world? And it was just one of those life moments, which we all know them. It's when it's like a boom, where it's almost like your ears ring. It's something's different, from that point on. It was one of those moments, but it was just, we all sat by the pool. We blasted music. I would cry, but then we ended up having a good time. And I called my doctor and, pretty much just said, okay. And I remember Angelina said, this is going to be really, really hard. I know it's going to be really hard, but you're going to get through all this. And I don't know. It was good that I was with my friends to kind of get distracted. But then right after that, I kind of was like, what am I supposed to do? And people always start offering up don't do treatment or do this or do this diet or do that. And I feel like that's always so well-intended. And I'm thankful for that. But I also wasn't really listening or asking for any advice. I was kind of praying just my own thing of what do I need to do? And I moved all my doctors to Vanderbilt. I was like, I want to make it easy. I don't know. I just kind of saw it in my mind, Vanderbilt. And it was an amazing choice to do that because they were amazing. And then, it was kind of okay, get ready,
Were they this is a curable cancer out the gate?
No, it's not curable. They say I'll always have it. That's the kicker. I always put that. I was telling a friend yesterday, I said, I have this box in my mind where I put things that are too hard. I'll never be able to ever face them because they're just too sad or too big. And that's kind of in there too. It's I'm not even going to deal with that they said it's,
that's
non-curable.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw that.
Because I don't really believe I think I respect their opinion, but I don't put my all the way faith into a doctor's opinion,
Yeah.
So, but I was so anemic. The danger of it when I found out was that I was so anemic that they were worried about a stroke. That's how low my platelets were, my red blood, and then your blood gets too thick. Mm-hmm. And
that's just low iron, yeah?
No.
What is anemic?
You can be anemic from either low iron or low folic acid, low B12. that's what bone marrow biopsy did. When they saw I was anemic, they said, let's check the things that would make you anemic, could make you anemic. We'll check those specifically, and those 3 were fine. So then they're like, okay, that's not what it is. So mine was cancer in my bone marrow, killing all the red blood cells. Yeah, anemic's low red.
Okay,
blood.
got you.
Yeah. So anyway, I would go two times a month, and I would have chemo and then that immunotherapy, like put a shot in your stomach.
Okay.
It's like this mound. It's really wacky, but anyway.
What does it do? Is it like an
it's supposed to kill, no, it's supposed to kill. It's immunotherapy. It's supposed to combat cancer somehow.
It helps.
It's supposed to help, yeah.
Okay.
And
well, obviously did.
Yeah. And so, and then I would just get home and kind of go to bed for a few days, and then I would make myself get up and I would go work out, and I would push and like just push through and get ready for the next time. Yeah.
And how long was that?
6 months.
And then at the end of that, did they do blood work?
Yeah, they did blood work. They wanted to do more bone marrow biopsy, but one thing I learned, and I think that people should pay attention to this, is like you have a say just because a doctor says to do something, whether it's a test or whatever. I mean, listen to them, but you can decide, because they wanted me to do a bone marrow biopsy at the beginning, which I needed to. I didn't want to, but I did, to get the diagnosis. But then they want you to do one in the middle and at the end. But I was like, well, let me just ask you this. I'm like, will it determine how you treat it if I get one in the middle? He's like, no, I'm still going to do 6. I'm like, why? Why would I want to do that? Because it's not, a bone marrow biopsy is,
I heard it's gnarly.
Hated it. I hated it so bad. I'm like, why is this a thing?
About it.
They should put people to sleep, especially kids. I'm like, I hate it. That's what I thought of when I was having it done. Like, these poor kids have to have this done. They're probably way tougher about it than I am, but I hated it personally. So
yeah.
Then at the end of my treatment, I'm like, he's like, if we don't do a bone marrow biopsy at the end, we can never say you're fully in remission. And I said, it's okay. Don't use that word then, because I don't want to go through that again. Let's just look at my labs, and I know how to read the labs now. I can tell when something's off. I know the markers and all that. So let's just go by that.
Yeah.
Unless we have to do it again, I'd rather not. And they're like, cool, yeah.
So you can just like pop into a Quest Diagnostics and get a doctor's order to get like a lab done if you want. To give yourself peace of mind.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that.
That's just me.
You want to. Yeah.
I'm a hypochondriac, so I'd be like, am I good this month?
No, I don't obsess about it either, which is, I was worried that I would always be thinking that everything is it. And there have been a couple times where I'm like, there's like, a little red thing will pop up, and I'm like, is that, lymphoma rash or whatever. But I can see my labs. I get them done now every 6 months, but it was every 3. But I'm like, if anything, they're getting better. So I just I really do let it be. I don't think about it. I don't think about it really at all, truly. It's probably just PTSD, but I have so many PTSD things. I just feel like I just can't think about them. That's in the too hard box,
Has your PTSD, which you probably do have, has it affected your mental health? Do you feel like detrimentally?
Not detrimentally. I lost my dad, when I was 13. And looking back at that now, I'm like, oh, that poor girl. Because, I'm telling you, one day I'll write a book. But, people would not really believe what all I did and what all I've been through, and just the grittiness of it, And the older I get looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I even make it? But, I think, because my dad died and my mom ran off soon after. So then I was like, Lord, everybody I went to high school with did Oxycontin. So, I was going around with my cousin, doing Oxycontin every day. And, oh, Lord. And then, I was on pain pills on and off for a while because I wanted to be. I don't even think I was even addicted as much as I'm like, I need to go numb. And later on, in therapy and stuff, they're like, sometimes you got to do things to survive in a way, But
so you could check out.
Yeah, it's just too much to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've had a lot of lot of pain pill days that I wish I could take back in a way, but I'm like, whatever.
It's part of your story.
It's part of my story, yeah.
Do you feel like, because in that dopamine book, it actually talks about that.
Pain pills?
Yeah. And it talks about the prescriptions and the epidemic. And Haley, who you just met, her dad was addicted to pain pills for like 22 years. And we didn't know.
Yeah,
then,
you wouldn't necessarily know.
Her parents got divorced after that kind of came out. But it was, and there was other stuff involved in that. It's complicated. But all that to say, like, it all just started with him having an injury, but he started to self-medicate because of his anxiety, because of being beat by his dad.
Yeah.
And so that was his way of coping with those thoughts without really having the therapy that I feel like we talk more about it now, but it was different back then too.
Yeah, I don't think people even, Oxycontin, I don't even know if they even make that anymore. I don't even know. And that
I don't know.
It was like hardcore. And I was so, not sheltered is the right word, but I was, kind of in a bubble in a way. I went to a Christian school. All my family lived on the same street. My mom and dad were very happy. I mean, I had an uncle that had been in jail and was on drugs. And I had I knew what problems looked like, but I wasn't in any sort of like, no one that I knew was like messed up ever, And then my dad died, my mom left, and then it was like, okay, I just trusted anybody or anything, but whatever. Then I moved to Nashville and probably still took pain pills here for a while. What really got me stopping, honestly, was when I lived in LA for a while. This was like 2010. This was the Maximus dark year, honestly. Where I lived in LA for a while. I was making a record on Warner LA that never came out, and I was not in a good frame of mind back then. But I OD'd at the Saddle Ranch of all places. But I kind of came to like at the hospital, and I'm like, I'll be damned if a pill is going to take me down. Like, I am not going to go out because of pain pills. And now I think I drank like a lot on top of it. But all that to say, it was my big, big grand finale with pain pills. I'm like, that's not the answer. That was like early 20s, I think. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you said something that 2010 was your what year?
It was a bad, bad, dark year. A bunch of emails I wish I'd never sent. A bunch of calls I wish I'd never made, but it's too late.
Do you feel like you look back at that version of yourself because you're so removed from that now and like have grace for?
Oh, I do have grace. I feel sorry for that. I mean, I understand. I don't look back. I don't really have shame, honestly. I regret, of course, when you're like, that was so dumb. Why did I do that? I feel like that's normal, but I understand why I was doing what I was doing for so long, because I was just heartbroken, and just kind of lost for a while. I didn't really have any real anchor. But I think considering, what all I had been through, I was doing pretty well. I always, after Dad died, I was like, I want to move. I got to go to Nashville. I've got to go to Nashville and make something of myself. I've got to live out my dream. And, me and my mom moved here and didn't know anybody. And I hustled. She hustled. We figured it out, and because I knew I had a gift. I knew what I was supposed to do. So, in a lot of ways, it all happened exactly how it was supposed to.
Yeah. After that LA moment.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you had like an anchor moment or like a come to God moment where you, like, spirituality entered your life more or anything like that?
I feel like I always say that I was born knowing Elvis and Jesus. Like, I always just talked about it. Jesus, I always knew who was beside me. But I feel like we all don't like apply our faith sometimes, or we just kind of check out and don't really talk to the spirit side.
Yeah, I get that. Especially like growing up going to a Christian school.
Yeah.
So it's like what you do, but there's a difference between like I grew up Christian versus like I actually encountered God, or I made this decision myself as an adult because this happened or whatever your circumstance? Because that's what happened for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think anytime that something happens where you just realize how out of control you are, you're like, oh, you know, you just hold on. So, yeah, I think I've always kind of ebbed and flowed with it. When my dad died, I mean, that was all I did. I prayed all the time. I was on my knees for months, honestly. And I don't know if I did after my OD, but I probably did. If not, I definitely should have. But cancer, I have, you know, it was probably like the third month, I was really sick. I had like a fever, like I was just wiped. I was getting blood transfusions and everything at that point, and I was just wiped. It was in a bad way. And I just had a moment. I was in the shower and my hair was falling out, and I was like, I was just miserable, you know. And I went and got in my closet on my knees, and I saw the word surrender. I just saw it, and I thought, okay. And it's such an ease when you don't have to carry it anymore anyway. So really, we should do it every day. It's just hand it over, because you're not even controlling it anyway.
Wow.
But unfortunately, sometimes it takes moments like that. So I'm trying to be better about doing it all the time, not just when the rug's pulled out from under you. How
did you feel when you saw surrender?
I bawled. I mean, it was really a moment. I really did feel like I felt a nearness. I felt, you know, that the verse, he's close to the brokenhearted. You know, it's like that popped in my mind, like that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can relate because I had a kind of come to Jesus moment at Starbucks one time.
Oh, I love it.
I want to write a book called I Met God at Starbucks.
I like it.
But yeah, it was just this like epiphany thing where God was like, you made this your God, not me. And it was like as clear as day, like you saw like surrender. Mm-hmm. But then like that was this huge shift and turning point. And it was only maybe right after my mom passed. And she had brain cancer, which we didn't know a month before she passed.
Wow, golly.
So she was sick for like 8 months, couldn't figure it out. And then, I found out. I almost am glad that I found out at the end.
Yeah, right.
Because knowing would have been so much worse, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, those moments, like you on your knees and just like those, you just get wiped out. You just get, as surfing would call it, ragdolled, where a wave just freaking chews you up. Mm-hmm. And life does that. Often that's where we meet God. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool. Did you ever get that tattoo?
No,
Surrender?
But me and Amy Mayo and Connie Harrington wrote a song called Surrender that's about it. That's really good. Yeah.
Oh. Which record?
It's not out. I just wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So coming out of the cancer stuff into life now, what are you excited about now? Like what's got you stoked when you look to 2025?
I've been getting out and singing for people again, you know, live. And I love that. I feel like that I've been missing that connection, you know. You can only kind of feel so much when it's like over social media or online, you know. And it's good to be like in the presence of other souls and singing and knowing that they care, you know. So that's been fun. I've been making a record that I'm really excited about. I mean, I write all the time, so it's like I always have, you know, these songs that I've been writing. I just feel like I still love the recording process. I still love making albums and putting it out. So
what's the most rewarding part? Writing the song and the day of being like, that was dope, or hearing it in the studio after it's like mixed and mastered? With all the clothes on it, you know?
Probably the day of writing it, because it's before you overthink it to a pulp, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But both are rewarding in different ways, you know?
Yeah.
I'm proud of both ways, honestly.
Yeah. What did it feel like to be nominated for a Grammy?
It was amazing. It was 2015 or 16. where The Blade was nominated. And then I had to do it with Blake Shelton that year, and that was nominated as well, which was awesome. And then I've been nominated with Pistolanes before too. So it's just unbelievable every time. Like, yeah, beyond my wildest dreams.
When you were young, you said you just knew what you were going to do. You came here, you just were scrappy and you just went for it.
Yeah.
Was there that thought in your mind of like, one day I'm going to be at the Grammys? Like, did you have those like visions?
I dreamed of that. Yeah, for sure.
When it happened, did you feel like joy? Did you feel happiness? Did you feel affirmed? Like, okay, this, like I finally, like to me, the Grammys is like the big one, you know?
Yeah.
I think musicians think that way.
Yeah.
Just because it's all genre. It's not just a political kind of music festival in Nashville.
Yeah.
In an arena.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that feeling? I want to know what it was like, just like the feeling of it.
I mean, I was really in the moment when I went to the Grammys. I was noticing everybody around, every performance. I was in it. I wasn't even thinking, you know, I was just soaking it up, really is what I was doing, you know.
Yeah.
Even like down to the glam. I love glam. I love getting ready and, you know, picking out outfits. So like every little part of it, I was just like, cool, this is just so cool. And then so many talented next level people on stage sitting all around you. And it was just like, wow, this is so cool. I just soaked it up.
Yeah. What's the dynamic like in terms of you doing your solo stuff and then doing the trio?
Yeah.
What's the vibe there?
Well, I mean, I feel like we always come together when it's like this magic wind blows and we all just kind of huddle up and it just happens. So I feel like we've never really planned it. You know, I mean, obviously there has to be logistics of Miranda's career, you know, and when she's putting out albums or what she's wanting to do that year. And Angelina, you know, she's a mom and she just got divorced again too. And she's kind of getting, I don't know, her and I have been writing a ton lately. So I feel like we always just know when it's time. We've written some over the past few years that when we get together, we don't even really try. It's just like, there's a song, you know, it's just magic. So I always hold out hope that we'll do something, you know. I don't want us to go out on a Christmas record. We're going to have to at least do a real one. But we've never really planned it. We just kind of do it when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. But the playing experience, like even back in the day, like, was it less stressful doing it with your friends?
Oh, it's way less stressful doing it with them. Yeah, it's way less stressful because, if you forget the words or whatever, one of them will have it, or you can make it funny and cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a different pressure as the solo artist. Do you feel that, like, right now while you're out playing, or you said you're playing more, do you feel pressure before shows, or do you feel excitement?
Well, after the first one gets out of the way, I feel like that I'll calm down. But, you know, I'm playing piano. I'm doing other stuff on
Which you're great at, by the way.
Thank
when did you
you
learn that?
I took classical piano starting at 7 up until my dad died. I used to be really good at classical piano. Like I could read music that you put down. I would go to UT and do like competitions, and I was very much into it. Yeah. But then when my dad died, I couldn't really get to lessons and everything, all the reasons. So you just stop doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just enjoy writing on it, and I enjoy playing it too live. So I think after the first one, I'm always fine. And honestly, if I mess up, people don't really care. You just start over and make it funny and
mess ups are great. I love it when I love it, like John Mayer saw him do the acoustic stuff. Anytime he'd make a mess up or like say something or screw up, I'd be like, oh, there's the humanity of this perfect person. You know?
It's almost like they can do it on purpose just to make themselves look like they're human.
Yeah, for real. But you are, because I was watching that video that you live recorded just at an upright piano.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. She's just like,
Thank you.
like you have the like piano form.
Like you're holding a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's like, she's trained somewhere. So
I was
that
so
makes
trained.
sense.
Yeah, I used to have the piano player at the church I grew up going to. Her name was Miss Spencer. I had a tape that I had of hers. I don't know where she made it. It didn't even have it was just had writing on it. It wasn't like a formal, tape with packaging and stuff. But I had that little tape I would listen to all the time because I loved that style, like kind of old fashioned Baptist old lady piano. I feel like that's kind of how I play, honestly, but it kind of works. It can be kind of honky tonk if you put it in a country song,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did play music at a Baptist church for a little while, and there was an old lady that was on a piano.
Yeah, they got
on the
good
side
one.
of the stage.
Yeah.
She was pretty dope. Maybe she played an organ. I don't remember.
Normally there's one on each side, depending on what kind of church. But yeah, Miss Spencer was always inspiring to me. And now every time I play, I think of her because I'm like, I kind of think I play kind of like her.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is she not here
No,
anymore?
she's in glory land up above. Yeah.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to Miss Spencer.
That's
Love
pretty
you.
cool. It's amazing
you.
how there's people that will never know how much of an impact they had on our lives.
I agree.
And I like for you, you'll never know how many people you've impacted through your life and career and using your gift.
Yeah.
What are some of the stories that have been maybe the most encouraging when it comes to like hearing someone being impacted by your music?
I mean, just hearing that your music helped them get through anything, it's a divorce or death of a parent or whatever, or that made them feel happy when they weren't feeling happy. I mean, I love the power that music has to like change your mood or help you feel what you're feeling. I've always been obsessed with finding like the perfect chords, right with the perfect melody, right with just a lick at the right amount that'll just like, because I love to feel that. I must get a dopamine hit out of like sad songs that make me want to fall on the floor because I search them out. I love discovering songs that make me feel like that, So
yeah, I'm drawn to melancholy songs myself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it depends like everything, I guess, on your mood, but I like a good slow melancholy song too, really.
Mid-tempo melancholy is my vibe. I was thinking about the other day listening to old Coldplay records.
Oh,
I was like...
Freaking Sparks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. It'll get you in a zone every time.
I could ask you a lot of questions because I'm curious about like being a female in country music. I'm curious about like what your advice is to country musicians now. The world's so different now. Everything's TikTok and social media like is driving the industry versus when you came and like it was a lot more like you really had to like pay your dues, I feel like.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but you had to work your way into it, and it wasn't a viral video that would get you a record deal. It was talent and hard work and grit. Do you feel that way?
I mean, I think it's a different way now, but it's not to say that the people on TikTok aren't working just as hard. It's just a different way of hustling. I feel like, I don't know. I don't hate on it too bad. I feel like if you've got the attention span and you've got the creative capability to make it connect with somebody, then go for it. I get so lost at, I'm looking at eyeliner tutorials. I'm like, I just can't focus enough. But I have, people who help me, they can get stuff and put it up. And, as long as something's connecting, I think you're doing good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
gives another outlet except only radio that I think that's cool. It doesn't have to be all the power to this one thing.
Do you feel like you have more power independently, or are you independent? Or
I'm independent.
Do you like it, or is it?
There's
ups and downs.
There's pros and cons, I guess. Like anything, to be an independent, one thing is that you're free. You can do what you want. You don't have to have, a bunch of people agree on something, and you can make it and release it how you want to make it and release it, which I love. And then, it's also nice to have a big machine behind you that can help pay for things and help, connect things and wheel and deal,
Yeah.
So I get both sides of it, but I like being able to make a record that, I'm lucky. I say that I'm like, that I'm happy that I get to make a record I want to make. But I honestly, even on labels, I never had a problem with a label trying to change how I was, really. They always let me make the kind of record I wanted to make. So I kind of have good experiences. And they did everything in their power to make them work and, worked with me on what I wanted to do. So I have some bad label experience, but overall, I feel like they supported me as an artist no matter what.
So it was like a symbiotic partnership kind of a thing.
Yeah, I had a good experience.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. In that area of it for sure.
And that was before 2010?
Yeah. Oh, no, that was...
or was that after?
I've been on a label. I was on Sony the first time, 2005. And then Sony merged when I was on radio tour. So then it was BMG, that they got everything. And so then I was with Joe Galante. And then they ended up dropping me. And then soon after that, I was free. And then I went to LA and signed with Warner LA. And then that whole thing. And then I came to Warner Nashville and kind of started over. They kind of like wiped the slate clean and started fresh with me. So that was when Like a Rose, that was 2013. So it's been...
Was Chris there?
Chris Lacey?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking of Chris when I was thinking of good label experiences because she was really good about helping me pick songs. She would sit and listen to... I remember Hands on You actually played that work tape for her, and maybe Dave Cobb was there. And I was like, I don't know, this might be too out there, and it was just a work tape, and she's like, no, And that's kind of, risque, not like down the middle, safe song. So, yeah, she was always really good at helping me pick songs.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I met her the other day.
You did?
Yeah, she seemed really down to earth.
She's cool. I like her.
I wasn't sure what to expect.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's just really sweet.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
And she's got to have great ears.
Yeah.
To know.
The sad thing is sometimes I feel like people at labels, and I get it, they listen to a million things and they got to be kind of detached, but they stop loving music. That's when it gets kind of scary, when they don't listen or don't really care.
Yeah,
so.
The commerce side affects the art side super hard. Mm-hmm. And I have this idea for a hat or a shirt or something that says creation over commerce. Mm-hmm. And that's where our focus should be. And it's kind of like this guy, Rick Rubin's approach. It's like, don't make music for the fans, make it for you. And then they'll dig it if, it's you.
Right.
This podcast is brought to you by Grown and Sewn. If you can see what I'm wearing right now, it's a canvas shirt that was actually made at one of the old Levi Strauss factories in San Francisco. Grown and Sewn is a company that is made for everyone, made for every day, and made in the USA. This shirt is extremely reasonably priced. It's called the Walsh, after Joe Walsh, who's in the Eagles, my favorite band of all time. I'm also wearing one of their t-shirts, and it's a lot thicker than your normal t-shirt. We got to support small businesses, and Grown and Sewn makes some of the coolest stuff. Grown and Sewn, SHP USA for 15% off your entire order. Again, SHP for the Stephan Hogan Podcast USA on their website. So click the link in bio and get your Walsh shirt. That is really dope. It's my new favorite piece of my quiet luxury collection.
I feel like a record always portrays where that artist is right then, artistically, or how they're feeling and how they want things to sound right then. I feel like every artist that I love, you go back and listen to records and they're not all exactly the same. I wrote with Marty Stewart some, and he was talking about how he loves that it's, Ella Fitzgerald's box set is like Ella sings Christmas, Ella sings the blues, Ella sings, it's like you can do different things. You don't have to do one thing, As a singer, you can do whatever, and that still be your collection and your body of work. He was like, I'm putting out a 32-song surf instrumental record. I'm like, hell yeah, you are. Like, that's cool. Do what you want to do,
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from, everybody doesn't have to like it, but you're doing it for a reason, and some people will.
Yeah. And that's for the love of it. Like,
Yeah.
For the love of just making music or putting out a record. And I think people are really appreciating albums.
Yeah,
I am.
I like an album. I mean, I get it. Not anybody has really time to listen to an album anymore, or not like we used to, or we don't make the time. But I still like it. I like to get a complete body of work and not just one song after the other. I feel like I can fully digest a full album even better than I can do just like a song at a time.
That's why I like vinyl.
Yeah, I love vinyl too.
Because I'm like, all right, I'm going to be forced to listen to the whole thing as the artist intended.
Right.
Which is pretty cool if you do it that way, because you get to get into the mind, like you said, the records that have the story of the childhood or the love and loss and all those different parts.
It all goes together.
So let's say now if there's someone that was like the younger you that moved to Nashville and you could tell them one piece of advice, your biggest piece of advice for them, what would it be? And they want this person, just for reference, they want to make it in the music business as an artist and a songwriter.
I would say hone in on your craft. Don't get lazy. Like, I would sit and try to think of hooks. I would get songs started. If I was going to go in a room with somebody, and I still am like this, I'm going to be prepared. I'm not going to lean. I'm not going to expect them to do anything. I want to prove that I belong in those rooms, you know? And I was always like that. I always was like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to have hooks. I'm going to have, you know, ideas, melodies, or, you know, I think it's important to bring something to the table that people really can't deny, you know, and not just like prove that you're good and that you belong there. And people will remember. I mean, yeah, there's a certain confidence, but it takes honing in, you know, and like doing the work to be the best and learn from the best and write with people. Like, I used to write with this woman, Sally Barris, who I still write with some. She's amazing. She was one of my angels in Nashville. And I would just watch her, and I would watch how she'd use 2 capos, and I would watch how, you know, how she would write a song and her melody. And I just soaked it up. I loved learning, you know, and letting that sink into my way. So I think it's important to like be patient and not get your feelings hurt. I mean, I was passed on everybody. I would be passed on everybody again. You know, everybody's so on to the next thing. But I think it's important to like stick to it. And if you're here for a reason, like keep that fire. Don't get too bogged down. Just like keep the fire. And keep like, you know, lately I even told my manager, I'm like, lately when somebody says no, I'm like, oh yeah. Like, I like that challenge. I love for somebody to be like, tell me I can't do something. Nothing makes me want to prove them wrong more. And I'm not even competitive. I don't ever compare myself to other artists or their journeys. I really don't. I've kind of carved my own little thing that I'm comfortable with. But I also think that I can do things, or that I have things to offer. And I like kind of being told no so I can say yeah.
Yeah. That's great advice. I think honing in on your craft. Mm-hmm. Because there's also in like that, the humility of not knowing everything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That comes
the smartest
with that.
people in the world want to learn.
Exactly.
Or the best people at whatever it is in the world are obsessed with learning. And I love that. I think it's a good lesson.
Yeah. Well, Ashley, it's been an honor having you on.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing some of your story.
Yes, thank you.
And opening up about the cancer stuff, because I know that that's something that affects a lot of people. A lot of people have lost people to cancer. Mm-hmm. And it's great to hear that you're at a point in your life where if anything, it made you reevaluate life. Mm-hmm. I feel like. Yeah, it did. And find the joy in life. Yeah. And talking about joy is inspiring to me, because that's something that I think everybody's after. Yeah. And we need to not get happiness and joy confused. Mm-hmm. And I think you defined that well.
Yeah. I think sometimes we preconditioned, like, if it's raining, we're going to be sad. Or if this isn't going to happen, then I'm just going to be in a bad mood. But I've learned that, like, I really like walking in the rain now. Like, people think you're not supposed to, but like, why not? Doesn't it feel good? You know, or anytime there's a negative thought, it's like, well, how could I change it to make it where it'd be something fun? Traffic even. I get kind of excited in traffic because it means I can listen to my music. I can have the sunroof open and I just get in a zone. I mean, there's an opportunity to flip it over into something not bad if you want to.
Yeah, reframe it. Why not?
Just reframe it, yeah.
And that's a wrap with Ashley Monroe. Thank you for being here and sticking around. Please, again, hit like, subscribe, share. If you like any of this stuff, we post a lot on socials, and you can go just share a clip from this podcast on your story and tag me and I'll repost it, or DM me if you want to chat. We thank you for your listening, sticking with it this far. Go out of your way to be generous for someone, and it doesn't have to be financial. You can be generous with your time, and there's a lot of different ways to be generous, but it's more blessed to give than to receive. Have a great week. Peace.
This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.